So, welcome to Turn Up the Tech, Invision's podcast series. I'm Mark Taylor, Commercial Director of Invision, and today I have with me Lee Roche of WeQuote. How are you doing, Lee?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate you giving up your time and letting me come here today.
It's a pleasure.
Do this with you.
Well, you've done the miles, to be fair, mate, haven't you? You've done some serious miles to get here. So thanks for that.
4.5 hours last night.
Yeah. Well, I hope it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, just trying not to fall asleep.
Yeah, no, it's
last night.
Well, Lee, for those who don't know you, we've obviously known you for a long time. You've been a customer of ours with your other business, which I'm sure you'll touch on, but we're here really talking to you about WeQuote largely, and also about your experiences and why you've got this. Now, WeQuote is a cloud-based quoting platform for integrators, right?
That's right. Yes, right. Yeah.
And so I suppose let's start there. Tell us about it.
Okay, so WeQuote, I started working on this 7 years ago, and I seen a problem with my own business, that's your own business is LCR integrated systems,
yes,
which I
predominantly is
residential AV BMS control systems, more lighting control, bits of AV and networking, mainly lighting, heating control systems, more than cinema and stuff like that. Specialising in the high-end residential market, and I was using other softwares before I started working on my own, and I was having a real awful time doing my quotes. So it would be quoting in a day, I'd be quoting in the evening, I'd be quoting at the weekends. And the thing is with quoting, it's just a necessary evil. You've got to keep doing it to find the next job, and it's very, very time consuming. And
you're earning in the day, right?
Yeah, so I'll be on the tools, in my van, working really hard, on the phone, trying to find new projects, trying to keep the plane in the sky, as you say. So it was very, very time consuming, and I've lost a lot of my family time through missing out on family events, and especially with my kids when they were younger, because I always had to just try and get the next job. I always having to do the next quotation and trying to keep the prices up to date and all these things, and the presentation of the way it looked to the customer. In an ideal world, it'd be great if you could give a quote to a customer on the back of an envelope. There you go, 100 grand, shake hands.
Have you done any of those?
No.
Are you not even one?
No.
Oh, well, okay.
But you never win those jobs. Yeah. But the jobs that you do win are the ones where you spend time putting a proposal together so it looks really nice. The information's there for the customer to see. They understand what they're getting. So I used to use Adobe InDesign, and then I'd make them look really nice, and then I'd attach all the products and the images.
So InDesign you'd take images and you'd put it into InDesign?
Yes, exactly.
Because that's a drawing software largely, isn't it?
So a quote would take me 2 weeks to do something together, and then all the pricing would be done separate.
And how would you manage that coming in?
Well, difficulty, that was my other half, Jenny. She used to do a whole of the price checking, and obviously she doesn't have to do that stuff anymore. But in the early days, in 2009, 2010, that's what excuse me, that's what we were doing. And it was successful. We would win the quotes, but there was a massive risk of spending, a week, 2 weeks of your time building something, knowing that you mightn't even get the job.
Yeah.
So
that makes every quote you do a big risk, right?
Yeah, and that's what it was like. So then I started using another American piece of software. Won't say who.
No names. Yeah.
Say no names, and it was the same problem. So they false promises. They were going to guarantee it was going to game change me, and it didn't. It just slowed it down even more.
And why was that? Because obviously they'd built a platform which they thought was going to speed things, weren't they?
One of the things when I was looking at was, if you take that the fact that you want to be able to just give someone a price on the back of an envelope, but then you want the look of spending 2 weeks on it. So I wanted to have something that give me the best of both of those, but none of the downside. And there was nothing out there that actually did that, because they were too busy concentrating on trying to do everything. So they're trying to be full CRM. They're trying to be the data. They're doing the database, but it's not live linking to any of the UK distributors. They're trying to be a full-blown design tool and drawings tool. But for me, when I was running my business, quoting was a numbers game, and I just wanted my quote to look the absolute best, but cost me the least amount of time, because I knew that quoting was a numbers game. So the more and more quotes that I got stacked up, the more that would eventually fall off the edge. So and that's what it's about. So if you're not quoting jobs, you're not winning. And if you're spending way too much time on one quote, it's the risk. And I used to go to bed many evenings, and I'd be up. That last bit of doing a quote, you might spend days on it or weeks on it, and it'd be late at night, and then I'd send it out on an email, and it would go over. And I'd get in bed 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, finished it, and I'd start getting quote anxiety. That's what it is.
Like range anxiety.
Quote anxiety. And I'd be in bed go, I've not priced enough. I have priced too much. Yeah. And these are these feelings that I used to get, and it was like chest pains feelings, because it's a risk, because I've got to pay the mortgage, I've got the kids and everything, and it was that constant having to keep the plane in the sky. And, you're investing so much time in quoting, it just felt just not worth it. And that's where I then set out to say, I want to make a big change. I want to, change my life. That was the initial set. I thought, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. I'm wasting too much of my own personal time. And that's where I started building
and there's
WeQuote.
There's a quality of life, right? So, there's only so long you can run that fast and that hard.
Yeah. It's not good for your health. These black eyes aren't from partying hard. Working hard.
Working too hard, yeah.
So I'm still a workaholic. I still work late, and my passion's changed now from doing the installation side of things with LCR, and that's coming to an end now for my chapter of business, and that door's closing. And now since the past 5 weeks, I haven't actually been in the van and been on site. So wow. It's now just full time WeQuote, and the business is growing at an incredible rate, snowballing, and we're getting some really positive feedback from all the customers that are on currently.
So how do you pick up and go, right, there's nothing out there right for me? Where do you start with that? Because, usually you could go around, you could have gone around and looked, maybe searched out for another platform, but you didn't, did you?
No.
You've gone, right, now I'll tell you what, I'm not happy with any of these others. Yeah. I'm going to do it from scratch.
I basically started from scratch, and before everyone was throwing the buzzword cloud around, it was just an Amazon server, and that's where it was. And I then started building this web interface, so this web server, which then enabled me as a configurating tool. And I sort of stood back and I thought, I'm programming Lutron systems every day. I was programming RTI systems at the time, and I was also doing ELAN as well. Yeah. I was using...
we did a good job, right?
Yeah, did a good job. Yeah. If anyone picks up my jobs, by the way, you'll see how neat the rack is. So I wanted the logic and my same workflow of how I was building and designing my solutions throughout the day. That look and feel. I wanted to take the fact that my brain works in a way of a toolbox, it's a system, and the general day-to-day workflow of how I like to organise things. I wanted to achieve that in a piece of software. I didn't just want a big, long Excel donkey spreadsheet. That if you're like me, I'm dyslexic, so these just don't work for me. A spreadsheet, right. Everything's just moving around. It's no good. So I wanted to contain things. So And when I set out with the design, I'm coming from the BMS world, where that's how I got into the residential market. We were always 2 clicks to everything we were doing. So when we would design the UI, the UX on the front of these BMS control systems, these were touch panels that were tucked away in an airport or a leisure centre or a school, and it was a big metal enclosure with a touch screen on the front of it. And it was always going to be 2 presses to where they needed to be, and that sort of really early days logic of designing an interface for people to try to get where they wanted to be very quickly. I've used that right through WeQuote. So the whole platform has always been around 2 clicks. You where you want to be straight away in one view, not big long scrolling lists. So you've got this panoptic view of everything in one go. So the rooms cost, the systems cost, and then you can just break these. I want to be able to break it down and analyze it in a nice, simple workflow. So you're trying to create rules of building a proposal, and that's how it started. And then it was I've still got some of the very early sketches in an A3 pad of cutouts and prick stick, glued it all together.
Are they framed now?
Yeah. So but it takes time. It evolves. It was if I feel that if you let an integrator work with computer programmers 5 days a week for 7 to 8 years, it would always end up looking like WeQuote. It would evolve into that. That's what it would be if you could give them the opportunity to, as not a software engineer, but this is, you can build what you want.
But obviously to start it, so I guess this is the secret sauce, isn't it, Lee? Because to start it, you've got a software background, right?
Yes.
So because for me, I struggle. How do you go as integrator then to that point? But you didn't, did you? So you had a software background.
Yeah.
Then you could apply your integration skills.
So that I was doing a lot of BMS systems, which was the Tritium Niagara framework, and we were using a lot of like Java plugins and building these basically like middleware software, essentially a bit like what we have in the driver industry at the moment. And I actually built, it was the world's first cloud-based emergency lighting control and compliance platform. So that was, really groundbreaking when we did it. No one knew about us. We just built it, and we did a load of secondary schools down in Swindon with this software platform. And that didn't really, because I was still quite young and wet behind the ears, so that didn't really go anywhere. And then we were always building
maybe
software.
Maybe been a bit too early as well.
Yeah, a bit too early, but it's software is a journey. It's a massive journey, and I've done lots of different software applications. It's always been cloud-based. I've never ever seen the future in desktop-based applications. Especially other platforms I've used where you link you back to a SQL Server database, and it's just it just doesn't work. Everything, you should be able to use it anywhere in the world, and you should be able to use it on any device, and that was the future that I seen back then, which was like 2009, 2010, and that's what I set out WeQuote to from the offset was always going to be cloud-based and never going to be a desktop-based application. Me doing all that experience and that software knowledge I've built up, and I've worked with some great software engineers over the years, and I was always still doing integration. So it was a mix of, doing AV installations and then doing the software projects. And we did lots of software projects for other people, from one doing they built an energy management platform with metering, and there was like 27 million data records a day, so some huge data collection going on. They built a billing platform for an internet company, which helped those guys build their broadband services and Sky and stuff within MDU projects. And I've done lots of other little software projects in between.
So where did that software the software writing and coding skills come from? Is that something you learned before, or is that as you learned, have you gone along and you just have that ability? Because some people just have that ability,
yeah,
right?
well, I am not I will not say I am not a coder. That's for sure. Definitely not a coder. I have the ideas, and I will then draw and implement and manage the team to deliver that. So the sort of the visionary.
But you have a base understanding because obviously you've done those sort of things.
So I can manage the team and understand everything that's going on within the software world. So and that's from working with these guys for over a decade now. So you get to understand the lingo. And
so did you bring them in? So when you were creating, because really, you created this just for you, didn't you?
Yes, it was.
It wasn't. You didn't create WeQuote. This, I'm going to go to market with this. You said, I need a tool for me to do it. So did you bring a software engineer in at that point?
Yeah, so it was at the time I was working with my old business partner. We were doing this. I was doing this on the side in the evenings and stuff like that, and then just built it up from there. So it was never a day job thing. And it was always going to be for me. I wanted to keep it as a competitor for me. It was like that sort of like Lord of the Rings Gollum type thing, like precious. No one's having this. It's mine. Keeping it in the box all to myself. No one's ever going to know about it. And it was like that for a long time. That's how it was. But it enabled me to iron out all the problems. Figure out which is the quickest way to do a quote and not get sidetracked on that the flow of building a proposal or just a quick quote or whatever type of quote, so a line item quote, a quote with rooms, systems, or just a systems proposal. There's only a certain logical way to do that at speed, and it takes time to try and figure that out. Because as a dealer, you sort of we meet a customer. So we might get a lead in, and then there's that process. We have a chat with them on the phone, and then we meet them on site with the architect, the developer. We're getting the drawings out, and we're marking everything up. And it's like, yeah, we can do this, we can do that, and you're selling yourself to the customer. So that takes up a bit of time as well. And then I was then doing drawings and things for customers at the quoting stage, and I look back now, and it was just utter
from
commercial
scratch,
suicide. So I learned that you never give them a cable schedule at the beginning, ever.
Just learned the hard way.
I've learned the hard way. Oh, yeah, I've learned it all the hard way.
Here you go, have this. Oh, so thanks. It's funny they didn't call again, did they?
Too honest. And then I've marked up drawings, marked this up, all the manner of things I've done. And Jenny's given me a hard time when I've lost the job. Let me tell you, she don't let it go easy. So you learn from those mistakes. And in the beginning, when I was building the platform, I started building the drawing side into it, and you could load a WebPX file into it. You could load a vectored image file into it. And I was trying sort of like following suit, and I was like dragging, icons onto a floor plan. And it was only the Jenny which went, it took you 3 days to do the quote.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you doing that now? You don't even know if you won the job. And then I was like, do you know what? She's right. I need to. Why am I obsessing over doing a drawing at the quoting stage?
But sometimes it takes that other person to point it out, especially when you're deep into it. I mean, because you're passionate about it. You're deep into it. This is the business you've built, and you want to succeed, and you're going to give it your all. And you lose sight of actually. God, I've gone too far here.
Well, that's where if you're a techie person, then you're usually very passionate about what you do, and tech guys are pretty much 99% of the time really very honest and open book guys. You can read them like a book, So, and with me being a bit of a scouser as well, sometimes some clients you're automatically starting on the back foot. So
I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known, Lee.
So being open and honest was the way I've always been with all my customers on my jobs, and that sort of doing the drawing at the quoting stage, which I was doing, and I realised then, no, this isn't the future. So I just culled all that development and just went, no, that's it. We're never going to do that. You shouldn't be doing that at the quoting stage. So and then it was, so then it changes. So as you're doing your journey, you're starting off and you start doing these threads, but you hit a dead end. So you've got to quickly come back, get back on that journey and realise, which is working, which isn't working. And it evolves into, what I class it as the best game in town for quoting is what I say to people, which I personally feel that it is. If you want a quoting system that's going to give you the real-time pricing and quoted speed by having these features that give you the ability to copy and clone and move and manipulate and move the figures very easily, then the time it takes to do a quote dramatically reduces then by using the platform.
And obviously, from a point of view of you creating this product for yourself, and then that was 7 years ago or something like that. At what point do you think, because obviously you don't just produce WeQuote and then go, I'm done, that's it. Was there WeQuote point one was, I've got it down to a day now, and then WeQuote, I've got it down to 3/4 of a day?
Was how it sort of came as a sort of a sellable product was I was on site and I was stood with the main electrical contractor of this particular project, and I had my laptop open, and because it was cloud-based and he could see everything and how I'd organised everything, and he was asking me, can you just do this problem? Yeah, I'll just do it now. And he was like, wow, what's that? I was like, it's my own quoting system. And he went, can we have a copy? And I was like, no, you're not having a copy. And
I learned that lesson with the drawings, right?
Yeah. And then when I got in the van, I jumped in the van. I was like, maybe this is potentially a business. And then I started thinking about, what are the issues with it now? Because
you know it inside out, right?
Yeah.
So you know all the foibles that go with it and everything.
Yeah.
That.
So one of the biggest problems at the time, at that point in time, was I was still manually adding all the products in, and we didn't have the database structure to handle big data from the manufacturers, distributors, and then I sort of came up with a name, WeQuote. It took a long time to think of these names, and I styled all the logo myself and built all the branding, and I'm come up with it. And I thought, actually, let's make this a business now. And then I decided then to invest more of my own money into this full time. And then I got my business partners to work on this full time, and I invested a lot of my own money into. Then I 100% believed that this would be a genuine business that can help people. That's what's about. I'm not trying to teach anyone how to run the business or anything like that, or what they should use in the business. That's down to them to do that. But what I know I can genuinely help with is the quoting process. And if they can learn a few things from me along the way, then great. I'm really happy with that. And So I guess
that made it real then.
Yeah.
So it moved from being Lee's personal, precious quoting tool.
So we spent probably a good 6 months just fine tuning, and then the big problem was obviously which I knew my heart was like, to make this work, we've got to get the distributors, the UK distributor market, because it's unique, the UK market. That a lot of these other softwares was everything was in dollars, roughing phases, rolling the truck, and it's like, what are all these terms? We don't say. You mean first fix and second fix and going in a van? So everything was to be built for us. But the big problem was the distributors and how to convince them that I am, one, not a threat, and what I'm trying to do is help the industry, was to try and pitch. And you were actually the first person I came to, and I remember we did the Google Meets call, and I showed you the platform, and I think I'd actually got I don't remember if I had the data feed before or after, or maybe
I think it was after,
and
yeah.
you kind of, I think you believed in me, which
well, we obviously had a relationship because you were our customer, and we for a number of years, so we had that. So I mean, that helped straight away. But I think we could see straight away. Look, we'd seen the other platforms, there's very good platforms out there, but we obviously, knowing you, and I think for me, it was when because I always have a problem with this, it's the updating of the information, right?
Yeah.
If between us we don't keep it accurate, I know what's going to happen. It's going to come back. We're the supplier. We try to be a good supplier. It's and if the information's not there, it's going to cause our customers problems, and it's going to come back onto us, right? And we're going to be in awkward places that we don't want to be, and we're going to it's going to cost money ultimately, and that's not a place we want to be. So I've always been nervous about the platform, because I think, well, how do we keep this information up to date? How do we do it? And for me, the key was the live link.
Yeah.
And we obviously being part of the Midwich group, and actually them having experience with data feeds and things like that. And when we started talking, I think that was the moment for me when it clicked and you said data feed, and I went, well, we know about data feeds. We can deal with that. I get that. And that I think that was the light bulb moment. Okay, so actually we've got this platform now, but actually we can keep it. We can realistically keep it up to date, because that's the real key. We might start enthusiastically and we put loads of energy in there, but if it becomes difficult and tough, invariably people stop doing it, and that's what happens.
Yeah, and that was our live link is why I push the most to all the distributors on the platform. So I don't want a CSV. I don't want a price list. I will take my time and development resources into writing software to your ERP systems and being able to collect that data. So there is no manual human involvement with it. It's all done automatically, and that's how it has to be for it to stay continuously working and not relying on a person to do that role. So all the distributors and you guys, either the feeds coming to us and we're handling it, but the whole process is automated, and that's the future I think for dealers doing their quoting. And the benefit of having a live link means that you have basically a live quotation. And one of the ways how we do that is, so if a dealer does a quote, starts a quotation, he then sends that quote to a customer as a web quotation, which is like a live version of the quote. And then you guys have a price update. Then there's a flag there which they can tick, where if they haven't signed and accepted it, the price will update. So the actual, if you have a price increase, then the Ubiquity parts will then be increased as well. And the flip side of that is, if you've got a quotation which has been signed and accepted and the customer's agreed it, and then you get a new job in from somebody else, and it's very similar to the job that you did last year, you can copy or clone or merge sections of that one quote and then paste it into another quote. And then it will then pop up saying, actually, there's all price changes now, and it will list all the distributors and all the price increases and say, and it'll just automatically update everything. So those quote anxiety pains, I'm getting rid of them. So just keep making everyone, massaging them and relaxing everyone that we're trying to handle all of this pricing. And I think there's over 70, 75 distributors on there. I mean, last week alone, we had, since ISE, we've had 30 new distributors that are queuing up to come onto the platform now. So it's crazy how it's gone full circle, where at the beginning I was like, please work with me, I'm pitching to everybody. And then now I've got a queue of distributors wanting to come onto to the platforms because they can see the sort of.
I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to invite them on. You can leave them off. I'm fine. I'm fine with that, Lee. No, I'm joking.
I always say to them, on the WeQuote platform, we're all equal.
Yeah.
So I say for all the dealers, so the guys that are on a free account, to the guys that are on £35 a month, or the guys who are on the £250 a month that they pay. I answer the phone to everyone. They're in the WhatsApp groups. We give great technical support, and I just treat everyone at the same level because. And the reason why I do that is because when I started, it was me in a van pricing jobs off the lounge floor. Didn't even have a dining room table at the time. I was very, very poor, living in a 2-up, 2-down house in Oldham. So I know what it's like for it to be tough and trying to get a business off the ground and getting things up and running. And so everyone has to start somewhere. Some not as good as others. But I'd give everyone a chance, and there's guys that have come from a free account to £35 a month, and they're paying £250 a month because I've helped them put in these steps of quoting and help them to grow their business, and that's the way I've priced it. And some people think it's crazy that I price on accepted quote, but when you break down the logics and the mechanics of how I see it is. When I was using these other platforms, they charge you on users and features. So I'm thinking, so if I'm not doing very well, but I want Jenny to have an account, I want him to have an account, actually I'm paying like 200 odd quid a month. I'm not even doing very well. So I'm just starting off. But then I need this feature and I need that feature. So next week I'm into 300-400 quid a month on a particular type of software platform. And I mightn't even have the business. I'm
not. Yeah, the business isn't there.
The business isn't there. Yeah. So
that's a big investment. Then
it's a big investment for people. Yeah, and so when I came up with the pricing, people thought it was crazy because I was saying unaccepted quote. But if you look at it, I don't put walls or barriers in front of your business trying to grow it. We're all pushing in the same direction. If they do well, we do well. If they're not doing well, they go back down. And if they're not doing well, that's down to me to help them do well because I want to get them up there to higher packages. But then if that's the case, then that means they're winning more work and getting more accepted quotes, so they don't mind.
I've got to admit, when you told me that at the first, that was the bit that had me scratching my head because it wasn't anything I'd seen before. It was like nothing I'd seen before.
I don't think there's anyone does it that way, but when it makes total sense. So you can have as many users as you want. You can have, and we've got loads of new features coming out. We've got a new app coming out for iOS and Android. They'll all be just free as part of the ongoing features. And everything's revolved around helping you win more work. The fact that we're doing stuff with, I mentioned today about the financials, integrating, financial summaries at the end of it. So if someone wants to take a cinema room over finance, they could do it, or even a commercial job, and they could offer it as a free, quarterly payments or something like that. So it's all about winning the job. What does it take to get that deal over the line? And
but what it does is and I understand it now. But what it does is it brings. It motivates you, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Right, so if I can help them, if I can draw them here, it's going to mean more for me, and it really buys you into their business, doesn't it?
That's it. I want everyone to be paying me the premium package.
Yeah.
That's my goal. So I have to work hard to get these guys, to get the dealers up there, and I do a lot of legwork for all the customers on the platform. So I understand and I appreciate that when I was, doing LCR full time, I would invest a hell of a lot of time in trying to win the job. No, so not just the quoting, it was the site meetings and, presenting myself to the client. And it would take days, if not weeks, to try and win that project. Now, what a lot of software companies do is they want all the money up front first before they can even prove they can even help you. So me, with my dealer hat on and the shoe on the other foot, I think, well, why should that be different for me? So I let them come on board for free. They get so many weeks trial. In that time period, I will help them set up their account. So I will style it so it looks like their website, so it feels just part of their branding and their design. So the quoting looks and feels right with what they do and the brands and the systems that they install. So I'll set all that up for free. I will do all that for them. And instead of doing like training or someone trying to sell you something, and I don't sell anyone anything. I show them how to use a tool. And our training is, let's do our first quote together. So every single deal on the platform, I've pretty much won them their first quote on WeQuote. So that's my job, is to invest my time into helping people make a success of the WeQuote tool, the platform itself. And, and that's what dealers do when they're trying to win a job. They're trying to win a job, they invest their time, and that's what I feel like shouldn't be any different for me. So it's a low cost to entry. It's almost like a no-brainer. There's no risk. Yeah. And there's pretty much everyone who's onboarded and done the first quote with them, it's 100% pretty much success rate, and that's genuine. But that, I feel like that's how it should be, because that's how I did it with LCR, and I don't feel it should be any different as now being a software company. So that same logic that I was using to win a job, I'm now using it to win dealers onto the platform.
But I think you can see it. So I sort of picked out a couple of features. What I think is you can see your dealer influence there, and particularly I always have to look at the name, your change order.
Yes.
Now, I think that you can see.
Yeah,
he's been there, he's experienced it, and it's cost him money probably as well.
So that's a biggie, change order. So you can do, one of the things on the platform is we have change orders, but before you get to a change order, you've won the job, and we're inside the WeQuote platform via the web quoting. We give the customer an option, so is to win the job over the line. I always feel like if you can give customer options on, they can choose, let's say, a type of speaker, or it could be an option on the size of a TV. And, I always got taught a little bit of something is better than nothing. So I started building these options features. So, for example, it could be Origin acoustic speakers. You could add an option into a room that says, tick this box, add ceiling speakers. And the first one would be pre-wire only, which is the grill only with the fixing kit. Yeah. And then you can then give it option 1, 2, 3 with the different levels, where you can have the 6-inch and then the 6-inch, or the 8-inch to fix into the 6-inch and stuff like that. So that was a big thing, so to win more work. But then you win the job. Great, customers signed it, accepted it, and
agreed the
price. It's all signed on WeQuote. And then what would happen is we'd start the job. They'd give us a deposit, and we'd do that inside WeQuote as well. It tracks it all, and we'd do a very, very nice way of doing the invoicing. And then the change order is those moments that I say is, can you just? It happens to me. It's like the amount of can you just moments, the moving the goalposts, or whatever you want to call it. It all just starts. As soon as you get out of the van, then they're asking you to look at something you haven't even priced for, and that is where you can absolutely suck your time. So if you've priced 800 hours to do the residential project, then every time you are talking to a client about a potential change order, it's taking you away. The project's just running away with itself. So you're losing time, especially where, my dad works for me, and, I'd ring him up the end of the day, say, he's been pulling me off, looking at this, looking at that. And I'm like, why have you not done this? Because he's had me doing this, had me doing that. And it's just like, but this is what goes on.
But also, I mean, that happens, and then no one remembers that at the time, do they? That's the big problem as well, isn't it? Because you get told to it, and these things get added, they get changed, and it's more cost. And then when you come to bill it, it was what's this for?
Yeah,
What's
exactly. So it's nipping it in the bud straight away. So with inside the platform on the accepted quote, you can then create a change order. So then you can edit the proposal and remove items and add items, and it handles what you've took deposits for. So it's very intelligent in the way this works, and you can reallocate the costs of fixed invoices, even if it's been pushed over to an accountancy software. Then you can send them a web-linked change order again. So it's like an acceptance form, and it will say, okay, you've added this extra pair of Origin acoustic speakers in the master ensuite, but you've removed the RTI touch panel in the kitchen now, or the games room, or wherever it is. So the original accepted quote is God. That is, we've agreed this, you've took a deposit. Then the change order then goes back to him. He send it to him on WhatsApp, or whoever you want to send it to. You know when he's looked at it, he can sign it off and look at it. But so until he signs and accepts it, you ain't starting anything. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And it will stop the...
Well, you're dealing with it in the moment, aren't you?
Yes.
Because the problem is once that moment's gone and
Yeah.
you haven't got that written documentation and agreement for it there, no one can remember. And it's probably genuine most of the time. But no one can remember.
I've lost a lot of money over the years in can you just moments, from moving a TV from one side of the room onto the other side of the room, and then them just assuming that was included in the price. Yeah. And, so it's a massive thing for me, that change orders. And we've got, we mentioned about the app that we're doing. That's all going to be part of it as well, and photographing it and things like that. But, I don't want to go too much into that because it's in development. Yeah. But we've got an amazing app we've got an amazing app that we're working on. So I'm really excited about that. And it'll be another thing, again, that is handling set parts, so all these small or big parts within your workspace that are costing you time. So it's like quoting. No one gets paid to quote. No one gets paid to start listing extras. It's just a pain in the backside when you're on the job. You just want to agree the quote, start the job, get in, get out, get paid. And that's the ideal scenario. But with high-end resi, they start moving the goalposts, and the change orders, and the iPhone app and the Android app is going to change orders right now. That the guys are loving it, and it's working really well. And I hope it's it's a real problem, right? Yeah. It's a real problem really out there that you through your experience, you've come across, and it's hurt you the hard way, and this is a way to get around it and well, for me it's to protect the dealer, protect the customer from letting the job run away with himself, and essentially that ends up protecting the disties as well, because stop people from getting swamped, because you're always one bad resi job from going under. You're always one bad resi. So you're only as good as your last job with the high-end resi game. And it's not like if you're just doing a small installation, do a couple of lighting or whatever, you one bad resi job can send you under.
So it's a big deal, isn't it?
It's a big deal. So that can be from things like product issues, software issues, or the main one is the mission creep. It's that happens. So handling that in the correct manner and setting the stall inside the proposal. So, one of the things I work on with the guys is, and when I'm setting up their quotes, is, the introduction to them, okay, what this job's going to cost and what you're going to do. Then if they want to put the financials in there or the stage payments, list that in there, okay? And then even on your terms and conditions, so I do like a standard terms and conditions, or you can have a micro-sized terms and conditions, put them in that if you're going to ask for works that's outside the scope, this is how it's going to be handled. So we're not going to stop what we're doing to jump onto this immediately, it's sometimes you've got to grow a set and just say no to the client. You really have. You've got to be brave. And it took me years to learn to do it instead of just caving in and being Mr. Nice Guy. So I can still be Mr. Nice Guy. But if you've got a
platform and structure that helps you do that gives you it's about confidence, isn't it? It's about confidence.
And that's what I'm trying to... If I give them this tool, it gives them the confidence to say, oh, there's the change order. We've agreed this quotation. You've signed and accepted it. And we've said that, if any change orders will be pro forma. We don't want to leave them till the end of the job because you'll never get paid.
Yeah.
No one ever. If you leave all the change orders or the additions to the end of the job, you'll never get. Well, some people might do, but it's always difficult to get that.
Yeah,
last
you're
bit
making
out
it
of them.
harder, aren't you?
Yes. So by agreeing that any changes are pro forma or billed at the end of the week or billed at the end of the month, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the agreed contract sum.
Yeah.
And that's what happens on that change order. When I send it to the customer, it says, here's all the changes. This is the agreed sum we agreed. This is what you've paid. This is what's been removed. This is what's being added. This is the new contract sum. And are you agreeing and accepting this? And they sign it. So they're agreeing that officially that's just like a statement of this is what's good. If you agree this is the new contract sum.
But there's no arguing it, then, is there? For me, I think it's about in the moment. It's then, because nobody's memory is that good, is it?
No.
And yours won't be, and the clients won't be, and you'll just forget about it, and it will just then come, and it'll create awkward moments. And
that's part of the app, is to record a video, record a voice note. For the lads on site, they just need to be able to, that fire from the hip, capture the feel straight away, capture that information, boom, go straight back to WeQuote, and then you can fire off the change order. Nothing's agreed until it's signed by him or she, whoever it is. They just need to sign the job off. And I'd hope that feature's working well for people.
I really picked on that. And that one, funny enough, I think the features I've picked on involves money, which probably says a lot about me, actually. But because also you structure out the payment plan as well, don't you? Because that's a key feature, Be clear up front about, let's agree this at that moment.
So I always ask a lot of the dealers, I'll ask them some personal questions about, okay, so you do the quotation, you've done your proposal or your quotation. Okay, so don't give him a shock. What do you want? So what's that first invoice? What's that first invoice going to be? The stage payment is 100% of the materials. Is it 50% of the whole job? Is it 30%? List it out in the proposal. Don't give them a shock, because I've had it where, I didn't know it was going to be, you're going to be invoicing me 50 grand. Well, I'm not going to finance your job. Yeah. So that was, another lesson learned. I call it setting the stall again. And even at the end of the quote, people ask me about SLAs, service level agreements and contracts. And for me, before people even start thinking about a service level agreement or a contract, is, okay, so just roll it back a little bit. The job's done. It's finished. How much are you going to charge to go out? So forget about being in a service contract. How much are you going to charge the customer to go out? Well, I don't know. So, okay, so if they ring you up on a Saturday and Sky's gone off, the football's gone off, or whatever it is, and you've got to log into the system, how much are you going to charge? And then a lot of them say, I'll just log in for free. Yeah. So straight away, I can see an issue there. That's something to work on with that particular dealer. Is, you got to make a decision. Are you going to register as a charity, or are you going to say no to the customer? No, it's my time, and this is what we're going to charge. And it's difficult to do, but I can help with those.
But it's easier to do with that structure. I mean, you're doing it from experience, aren't you? And that really helps. It gives you the confidence to do it. But
and that's why I always have that at the end of the quote. So I'll say to some of the dealers that out of hours. So if it's out of hours, remote login session, we're going to charge you £75. That's what it'll be. If it's out of hours, it's so much. The first hour is going to be this. But before you start thinking about doing a service level agreement or contract, the customer just needs to know how much you're going to charge him if he's not in one. And because I encourage people not to go down all the SLA route, because it's like it's a written agreement. You'd rather just say at the end of your proposal, these are our charges.
Okay. Yeah, it's good.
At the end of it, especially for someone like me, I couldn't support doing 24-hour tech support. So I'm never going to promise something that I can't deliver on. I would never tell a dealer to do that either, even if he was charging them £150 a month for 24-hour support. It's like, you can't deliver that. So just set the stall and deliver what you can and be open and honest. Don't log in for free anymore. Stop that. Stop doing all the free call-outs, because, you can't scale your business if you're running it like that. There's only so many jobs you can actually take before your phone's just bombarded with free work.
And sometimes you might choose to do it for free, but if there's no if you don't give a perceived value of it in the first place, it's believed that that's free, isn't it? That's
exactly.
the worst thing of the lot, isn't it? If there's a perceived value to it and you choose to do it for whatever reasons you choose, that's different. But if it's just given as a free, then it doesn't.
Yeah, and I fell into that. And to try and change the customer mindset is very hard if you've done it for free for years. And I admit it, I have done that. But when you get the new customers coming through, you just draw a line in it and say, right, I'm not doing that anymore, because you can't. I worked it out. If you're depending on the size of the company, but if you're working by yourself in a van doing installs, maybe you've got a 2, 3, 4-man team. There's only so many sites that I've calculated that you can actually physically handle if you're in the technology game, because of the tech support. So you need to monetize those existing customers. So you're always better off selling to your existing customer base. So I built up over 100 sites with the LAN systems in and what have you, and just all standalone solutions. And then I just ended up doing maintenance service, upgrades, and just build that. Instead of finding new customers, I ended up just doing lots and lots and lots of quotes every so many years for all of the same customer set. And but yeah, I didn't do SLAs. I just said out of hours working is this, call out's going to be this, and just invoiced them, as and when if there was ever an issue. And but yeah, it's the quoting. I was trying to do it in steps, so one of the first things on a quote is the cover page to the customer.
So is this so this sounds like Lee's top tips. These
are sort of the top tips of, first impression is everything with the high net worth individual customers. So if you're sending them a quote and it's just a line item list, then he's probably not going to capture him at all. He's just going to think, oh no, just going to dismiss it, or he just goes straight to the bottom, looks at the cost of the job. So one of the things that I've built into WeQuote is you build the quote, the solution. You build the solution because that's what we do. We sell solutions essentially. That's basically our job. We're selling solutions, technology, and that should always be the same. But the look and the feel and the options change based on the customer type. So whoever that customer is, you're always going to go to the job and weigh up the customer and weigh up what they want and the solution you're going to provide to them. So if you're doing a high-end resi job, or you're doing a cinema job, or you're doing a commercial meeting room space, don't send them a picture of a front cover with an MDU project on it. Send them what they're expecting, manage their expectation, give them what they're expecting. So I come up with on WeQuote is you can very easily just change the cover page. So the quote is always built the same, but the output was different for every single customer. And they are just like, again, 2 clicks, click into it, click edit it, and then it changes. So you could swap the information.
Build up a bit of an image library and just make sure you put the right one in for the right.
And that's part of our onboarding process, our service to all of the dealers that we style them. I'll say to them, okay, what kind of work are you doing? Okay, I'm doing this, this, and this. Right, leave it with me, and I'll style something up that looks really, really good. So then they can just go, oh, yeah, it's brilliant. They swap it around, and it's giving them what they want and what the customer's expecting as well. So that's really important. So that they're expecting, the service, so it needs to look right. And then there is a format in how I see it should be delivered. So, it's the cover page, then it's either about your business, and then make that interactive, add videos, add links to your website, then a summary about the project, and then what they're getting and the costs. So straight away, that's a big thing. So you'll see on WeQuote platform, when you go on a web quote, it actually tells the customer straight away what the price is. Because we're doing hundreds of quotes a week onto the platform. And do you know what the average viewing time of a customer looking at a quote is?
No, I've got no
1
idea.
minute.
Wow.
So a quote from 10 grand to 800 grand, they're looking at it for a minute. So what does that mean? They're only looking at the price.
Yeah. They're scrolling to the back, right?
Yeah. But then you can see on the second login, they've looked at it longer. Because they've already have this expectation of what they're getting from that first initial meeting. We've discussed it. So then all they're thinking about is this figure in their head, the client. So that first time they view the quote is, so you want to impress them. They see the figure. Okay, that's great. And then they go away and then they come back and then you can see that the analytics that they're looking at it and how long they've looked at this, how long did this look at the quotation. And it just gives you as a dealer a better way of, okay, and how did that customer interpret this quotation? Should I change the layout next time? And you can't manage what you can't see. So, that's the best thing about the web quote is if the customer opens up that quote, they're looking at it. So just like if you walked into a shop or a car showroom, if you walked into a car showroom and no salesman came out to help you with the car, what do you do? You walk straight out. Yeah. So why would you send a proposal over to a customer for £100,000 and not talk him through it?
Yeah.
And you want to know when he's looking at it. So when you get the notification come from WeQuote to say customer's looking at it, pick up the phone and speak to him. And you're going to win the job. He'll respect you more for that, for helping him walk him through the proposal. And I found that worked well for me, just talking, explaining why you would use these products. Because sometimes if you're sending it over a PDF, it's so hard to get the message across. You can do it well with a web quote, especially with the options and the fact you can adjust quantities and things. It works really well. But just picking up the phone when they're looking at it, it just goes, no, it's a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's move on to something slightly different. What's the biggest challenge right now then, Lee? What's the biggest challenge?
Okay. So the biggest challenges that we have probably as a business is we are growing at an incredible rate. So we're snowballing a lot. And probably the staff would probably say is.
I think that's the biggest challenge in business right now. I think simply is. I think it's really difficult to recruit. We see it on the news. We see it. It clearly is. I think that's all round. Yeah.
I'm ill with looking at websites and reading CVs.
Yeah. I can imagine. And the challenge, especially when. You're building this up and it's your baby, right?
Yeah.
It's about the right person.
So I'm trying to find, I ideally would be an AV installer who's just had it off and wants to get out of the game. Yeah. That would be the...
Just like your personal advert here.
Yeah. So this is, if anyone wants a job, please contact me, please. That's our big issue. But we're growing the tech side now, so there's 3 developers. We've got a new developer starting as well. That's 4 software developers within the business. Yeah. We're looking for another designer within the business, and then someone to help me do. I wouldn't say it was sales. It's because we don't the dealer people signing up organically, and then it's that. First phone call,
onboarding and coaching.
And coaching. That's what it is. It's like it's almost like a PT, but within quoting, estimating, and proposals. You know, so we will coach you like a personal trainer. He doesn't lift the weights for you.
Yeah,
he's not lifting the weights. We're giving you a plan, and I'm going to help you because their goal is to make you succeed in your own personal goals, and our goal is for you to succeed. And I want lifetime customers. That's why I try and keep the pricing low. And you only get lifetime customers from at the beginning. You got to do a lot of hard work at the beginning, so you only get out what you put in. But yeah, so trying to find a member of staff that has that passion, wants to speak to like-minded people, that's the difficult part. Is probably trying to scale.
If
that.
anyone's out there that's interested and think they've got those skills, please contact Lee.
Contact me. You can work remotely as well. So that's our sort of like only hold back. But on a positive note, it's every day. I can't tell you that I'm so excited to do it each week. I'm looking forward to next week already, because I know I've got what demos I've got booked in, all the exciting opportunities that's happening, and it's really, really exciting. And I love tech. And sometimes I wish I wasn't born now. I wish I was born 2,000 years later, so I can see the future. And I want to innovate all the time. And that's the kind of person I am. So I want to make the best quoting platform. That's what I'm going to try and do, and be just the best at that. I'm not going to try and do everything else. I'm not going to be a CRM. I'm not going to be the full-blown project management tool, but what I will do is build threads, like branches off the quoting, which will help you with the project management, but we're not going to be full project management, because there's better softwares that do that. We'll then integrate with these other softwares and push the quote data and this relevant data to where the dealers need to. So I'm more than happy to integrate with other CRM platforms. That's where I see the business growing, because we're a small team. You can't do everything, and I don't want to mushroom the business. It needs to grow, laser focus, and the best trees in the Amazon are the ones that go straight up. And that, by just concentrating on the quoting side of things, I'm not trying to do everything. Let's just be the best. And I'm very open and honest with every single deal that comes on the platform. So some of them say, oh, can we do like calendar integration or things like that? I say, no, because there's other things that do that better. If you want calendar integration, open up a tab on your browser and put your calendar on. Why do I need to put the calendar into the platform? It's a quoting system. So it's not scheduling a job. Once the job's been won or accepted, then we can take that information, you can push it off to Zoho, for example, or another project management tool. And that's where I see us just sitting in the middle between CRMs and project management tools. We just do quoting really, really well.
But that is specialised, right? Yeah. Specialised. Do what you do really well. And you can clearly see it, and look, we love it. So it's and we've been on board, and we will continue to be on board, Lee. But it's you can see your passion for it, and
thank you.
It's great. So look. So if anyone wants to sign up right now, how do they do it? Well, how do they go about it?
So if you go to WeQuote.cloud. On the top right-hand side, you can see a button that says sign up. Sign up, you'll get a free trial. Put your details in there, and then I will be personally contacting you myself and introducing myself and trying to help you win more work. It's essentially that's the sort of the process at the moment. I'm always available to help dealers on the platform. That's my job now. It's to coach people, build features that helps them win more work in a safer, more manageable way.
Lee Roche, quoting PT.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. So if people just want to sort of check you out for now, what's your socials? What you got going?
So social media, we're on Instagram. I think that's WeQuote.cloud, and we're on LinkedIn.
We're recent
on
edition.
LinkedIn. Yeah, recently. I don't do any social media. I actually rely on Jenny to do all of that stuff for me. So a really good.
Well, she'll be
one
proud
way,
that you've mentioned it anyways.
And then the other way, I'm not really into my social medias and stuff like that. But can I just say thank you for obviously inviting me down here and believing in what I was doing 2 years ago. So you were the first person that seeing what I was trying to do, and you were the first distributor to come onto the platform. And I've seen how hard you guys work as well. So I thought I worked hard doing LCR integrated systems, getting up in the morning, going out in the van, doing jobs, until I went and did a trade show.
Yeah.
So I'm doing travelling up and down the country. I'm talking all day. So going from connecting up all the wires in a rack and just making everything look all nice and neat and up and down and using my tools up a ladder. But when you're having to talk all day,
it's a different type, right?
It is very difficult. So it's hard. It's actually mentally tiring. I fully enjoy. So I have a hell of a lot of respect for everyone in the industry on the other side of the fence. So all the guys, all the distributors and the sales guys, I have a lot of new respect for them. And I always spoke to all the sales guys and answered the phone to them, but.
We make it look like hard work. We only have to do it 1 week a year or 2 weeks a year. It's
physically tiring and mentally tiring. Whereas the installation work is a different type of tiring. You're kind of on your feet a lot more. Whereas this job, I'm sort of sat down a lot more, so I'm starting to put a bit more weight on, which is the downside. So I'm starting to look like a dropped lasagna now.
Yeah. So you need your own PT, but the different sort of PT.
Yeah, it's PT, not big time.
Look, it's a pleasure, Lee. We love working with you. We think you've got a great product.
Thank you very much.
Look, helps us sell kit, so that's
good.
really important for us as well. So it's a win-win, right? So look, really appreciate you driving all this way and time and everything like that, mate. It's a pleasure. And so that's concludes this. This will be available on all our streaming platforms.
I think
you'll do your thing on yours. It'll go out on our all good streaming platforms.
At least one maybe.
Absolutely, and so just to remind everyone about our own platforms. Follow Invision on Instagram and LinkedIn. And Twitter, please. And I think, that's it. Concludes it. Well, thanks, Lee.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Safe travels.
Thank you a lot. Bye-bye. Bye.